I'm thinking back to when I was 9 or 10 years old. We were poor. Like sometimes my mother had to choose between paying the light and the water bill. Also, the stepfather was addicted to drugs, and me and my older brother knew that if we ever wanted something extra, like a trip to McDonald's or a pizza or some clothes, we had to find a way to get it ourselves. So I would ring doorbells and see if I could take out trash for $1 or a quarter. We had this Coke bottle-shaped piggy bank that we would put a bunch of coins and dollars into and just kind of save up our money. I wanted to go on a trip with my basketball team. We're going to go to West Virginia, play in a basketball tournament. I needed food money. We're going to stay at the Marriott. I think it was all going to cost about $100. I mean, the piggy bank was like 3 feet tall, and I filled it up at least a foot. But I woke up the morning of the trip, and the money was gone. The piggy bank was empty. My stepfather had taken it and disappeared. My mother called my basketball coach and said we weren't going to make the trip. We couldn't afford it. He said, "Oh, don't even worry about it. We got a booster club for times like this. We'll take care of the trip. We'll make sure they're fed. We'll be good to go." He was lying. We didn't have a booster club. He was paying.
I think this is a really great way to highlight the power of just being active in your community. It's one of the things that I talk about here at TYT all the time because often, it can be easy to feel like the only way that we can truly make a difference in the political system or just in our communities at all is through federal elections, presidential elections. A lot of people may not even be that hip to midterm elections, and even fewer people know necessarily what's going on in their local politics. But a lot of what makes the biggest difference in people's lives is just acts of kindness, like my brother here was explaining. When his money had been stolen, his basketball coach paid out of his own pocket so that he could come, so that he could experience what everyone else was experiencing, so that he could have a fruitful childhood. And it's often things like that, when you just go out of your way to just help somebody, that can end up truly making the biggest difference in their lives that they may not even recognize until they're adults.
At that age, I was kind of just barely holding on because a lot of things were coming at me that were too much for me to cope with. And when I realized the money was gone, I was crying mad. I wasn't a kid that cried a lot, but I was so pissed off. I wanted to. But in that moment, I was presented an alternative model of what a man could be.
Easily some of the most influential people that I've ever had in my life, were coaches or even janitors at schools who were just cool, who were just nice. When I would be acting up and maybe I would get in trouble after school, they would just talk to me. They wouldn't judge me for anything. And even after high school, when I was involved in this and that wasn't necessarily the best decision. And a lot of the reason why I turned my life around is because of everyday people who just showed me love. People who just, gave me an ear. They just wanted to listen to me. And again, they never gave any judgment. So again, it's not that you have to go out of your way to give money or you have to go out of your way to necessarily volunteer and canvass for a political party. Just be a good person because it really, really, really does go forward.
I was impressionable, and he made the right impression, and I never forgot about it. Even when I started my own organization, I made sure it was free for all kids because I didn't want any young person to be in a position where they felt like they were undeserving because they didn't have the money.
And I think that this is the attitude and the spirit that we have to bring into the 2022 midterm elections and beyond. We can't get too caught up in how, lackluster the Democratic Party is. The goal has to be elect better Democrats. So going into the 2022 midterms, I think that we should have, again, this spirit of the guy who was explaining how just giving back ended up really making a difference in his life. So if you know anybody that's influential in your community, encourage them to run. And if they do run, get behind them, canvass for them, volunteer for them in any way that you can. Educate your brothers, cousins, nieces and nephews, your friends, anybody that you know who is, the issues on the table, whether it be abortion rights, everybody needs more money, voting in general. Get people involved. Make sure that people know that we don't have to get too caught up in who's in office now, but rather we would better put our attention into getting, just more suited candidates into office. So that's how I always close it out is let's put the responsibility into our own hands.